Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our second visioning workshop for the Friendship Heights Sector Plan. We're really excited you guys could be here with us tonight. We have our full planning team here tonight, in addition to our Brick and Story engagement coordinators. And over the course of this evening, you'll get to meet a whole bunch of us throughout some interactive activities and breakout rooms. So first, I'm just going to give a really brief introduction in case you haven't been with us for a bunch of events already. This is part of our Friendship Heights sector plan process. So what is a sector plan? A sector plan is just a type of a master plan. They're the same thing, just different sizes, that covers an area that's sort of small and more compact than some of our more larger regional master plans. When we do a plan for an urban area like Friendship Heights, we consider it a sector plan because it's a relatively compact area with a lot of stuff happening. Sector and master plans start with the same sort of 9 or 10 topics in every plan. They cover land use, zoning, urban design, transportation, housing, parks and open space, economic development, issues relating to the environment, historic resources, and even the impacts of future development on schools. Occasionally, plans will add a topic or two as we get into that plan and we see what specific topics are really important for that area. For the Friendship Heights sector plan, here is our plan boundary. It includes pretty much everything you would consider as part of the downtown Friendship Heights, including both sides of the sort of retail and commercial core on Wisconsin. And we extend the boundary all the way down to River. We want to include River as a north-south connection that we want to explore in this plan. We got to include, therefore, the Willard Avenue Neighborhood Park, also a really important asset for this area, and just a small amount of the Brookdale neighborhood as we pull it down to River that, is adjoining the Geico property. Here's a diagram of the sector plan process. It's quite a long process with a lot of steps, and this diagram represents 2 to 2.5 years of a process. We're still relatively near the beginning. We started our pre-scope stuff in the fall of 2024 with some community engagement and just trying to meet people, get the word out about the plan. We got the scope of work approved in February, which includes approving the boundary for where we'll do the work. And then we jumped into the beginning of this phase, the existing conditions analysis phase, where we did a lot of research. We have many planners on this team that are specialists in certain areas. They researched their particular topic with regard to Friendship Heights, and we presented our main takeaways to the community. It's just so we as a team have a great baseline of information as to what Friendship Heights is today before we start thinking about the future. And now we're envisioning. Envisioning is the first time we really start thinking about the future. It's a phase where we work with the community to create a shared vision for Friendship Heights. As we keep moving through the plan, all of these blue circles are the work that the planning staff does along with the planning board. This takes many, many months to get a draft plan together. And then, of course, that draft plan goes to the county council before it can get approved. So we still have quite a ways to go. There's no plan at this moment. We're just beginning that process of thinking about what Friendship Heights could be in 20 years. Here's how the schedule works out for us. We've just, again, started this visioning in June. It's going to continue through the summer and into the fall. And only in the fall are we going to start thinking about kind of really big preliminary ideas for the future of Friendship Heights. This visioning session is obviously part of our overall engagement plan, and we've got 5 main engagement goals, which you can see here on the slide. We're trying to reach as many people as possible. We want to be clear and straightforward in our messaging. We also want to provide a variety of opportunities so that people can participate at different times, different days, in different ways, and that's why we offer both virtual and in-person opportunities. But we also come to you. We've been to many, many community organizations and groups over the past many months to present and sort of meet you where you are. We've come to community events and we'll continue to do that and to collaborate with all of our community partners as we continue through the plan. So visioning, as I said, now this is something we just kicked off a few weeks ago with our in-person event that you can see here in this picture, which was at the Wisconsin Place Rec Center on June 11th. And we're working with all of you to create a vision for the future of Friendship Heights. When we finish these 2 workshops in June, we will have a little bit of a lighter touch in the summer. We know people are busy. There'll be a survey. We're going to hold some focus groups. And then we will reconvene in the fall for another round of workshops on totally different topics than we're talking about today. So for tonight's workshop, we are doing these 4 activities. Like I said, the first two we're going to do right here. The second two are going to be in breakout groups. Molly is going to be our Zoom guide for the evening. And so she is going to and walk us through the different tools that we're going to be using tonight. There are going to be some fun things. If you're at a computer, it should be really easy. They'll pop up and you'll get to vote or choose things. And then we'll get to look at the results together, which I think is going to be a really fun way to get kind of live feedback in a virtual session, not so different from what we do in person. And we will also be sharing, because you're the second workshop, you have the benefit of being able to learn a little bit in terms of what happened at the first visioning workshop. And so we'll be sharing a little bit of that so we can get your reactions, and sort of you'll have the benefit of seeing what other people said, and you'll be able to add, agree, disagree, give us something totally different as we move through these activities. So with that, I'm going to let Molly talk about sort of how we're going to do the next activity, which is going to be a question to all of you as to what do you want Friendship Heights to be in 20 years? And that answer can be sort of whatever you want it to be.
Thanks, Atara. Great. So like Atara said, we're going to be using some different tools this evening to try to keep everyone on their toes and awake and engaged. So this first one is going to be a word cloud. You are going to see something pop up on your screen called Slido, and you want to click allow. Once you do that, you will get prompted to write your answer to this prompt. In 20 years, I hope Friendship Heights will be. So we invite you to share your answer to that. We're going to give people about a minute to write in some answers, and you should see on the side of your screen results starting to pop up. All right, we see one coming in lively. Thank you. Again, you need to click allow. If for some reason you didn't click allow, you can go into the Zoom chat, and there will be a link where you can click on the Slido link, and that will open the chat back up for you to be able to add to the word cloud. I'm seeing lots of different ideas coming in. Thank you. Great. We're seeing some really good answers here. Walkable, vibrant, diverse are some of the top ones so far. Multi-generational, interactive, energized, younger, restaurants, diverse, green. Great. We'll give about 20 more seconds. If you haven't been able to add, or if you'd like to add more words, feel free to add a few additional ones as well. All right. I see we still have a few people typing. We'll give about 10 more seconds. Lots of good ideas here. So some of our top hits: walkable, green, diverse, younger, restaurants, bikeable, thriving.
Molly, do you think, are you able to share? Some people are saying it didn't pop up for them, and then if it doesn't pop up, they can't see it going on. So I don't know if you're able to share screen of like your chat box. I don't know how that works, but
So the best way for somebody to see it, if you aren't able to see it, is to go into your chat. And in your chat, you should see Molly sent a Zoom app invitation. Click open. And when you click open, that should take you into the Slido poll, and you should be able to see it there. Okay, we are going to, I see 2 people are still typing. All right, 5 seconds. And okay. Great. So that was our first activity. As you can see, lots of different ideas. We had 47 different answers come in. So I think now, Atara, we'd like to maybe see how this looks in comparison to what we heard at the in-person workshop.
Great. I can only see 24 answers. So I don't know if we're all seeing the same thing. So I don't know if you guys are able to like take a quick screenshot and throw it into the mural of what the word cloud looks like. So people can see while I talk about what the June 11th looked like.
Yep. I think
Um,
you're seeing, let's see, I'm going to drop this in and you will hopefully be able to see it side by side.
Perfect. So we'll zoom in a bit. Okay, perfect. And we can zoom in a bit. So just let's look at what this group looked at in case not everyone could see that. So this group, the word cloud that we had from here looks like walkable, diverse, green, vibrant were some of the top things people talked about. Lively, space, shops, new, thriving, street life. It really sounds like people are looking for sort of a more kind of alive and vibrant place with a lot of activity. A lot of these words say like activity to me as a connecting theme. And I think it is somewhat similar to what we heard. So if you go over now to the right, this is a digital version of some of the comments, not all. We had like sticky notes overlapping the whole board, but a lot of them kind of had overlapping features. So we will eventually post all the photographs of every board and every comment we got at the end of all of this at the end of all of these visioning workshops. But these are some of the things that we heard from folks during the June 11th workshop, where we had a board and we asked people to put sticky notes on. And so I think people can read these, but I'll read some of them. So we also had these walkable with interesting shops and a lot of comments about local businesses, walkable with diverse retail, more diverse and affordable restaurants. We had a bunch of comments about theater, movie theater, and these like you can see 2 here, but it was actually like 6 or 7. There were some comments about trees and parks, safety. We had a lot of comments about keeping it safe for people and bikes and safe for pedestrians. And a few other things. And I see people are putting, you can definitely, if you were unable to get in and you want to put a comment in the chat, we will record it. And we get the chat and we will sort of add it to our notes here. And I see people wrote, I was unable to get in, but she wrote a place where young people want to live with their children. And I think that's something that we've also, I saw the word younger before, so I think that points to that. Lots of green space, lots of open space. Do not be downtown Bethesda. That's a sentiment we have heard a few times throughout some of these meetings. So if anybody else wants to add something in the chat, again, we will capture that. We will add it to this sort of board that we have where we're keeping track of things. We did get also some comments at the June 11th one about intergenerational. There was 2 people who wrote that, which I think gets to the getting a place where people of all ages are happy to live. So I guess now that everyone has seen sort of ideas we heard at June 11th and things that people said tonight, would love to know. You can add this in the chat, or you could talk if you want, if you think there's anything missing from here, if there are things people want to see in Friendship Heights in 20 years, things they want, sort of adjectives they would want to ascribe to Friendship Heights in 20 years that we haven't captured here. We'll give everybody just a minute or two, make sure that they don't think anything's missing. Molly, if you can scroll it over a tiny bit so we can see both the word cloud, no other way. Yeah, and the perfect there. We can pretty much see everything this way. So,
And just one note, the word cloud is showing the words that were most written, but there were lots of other answers that are not necessarily showing up, but that are captured in our full list.
Okay, that's great. Somebody else wrote that they would like a drugstore, which we've heard from a lot of people, bakery and restaurants. And I saw that somebody, noted a lot of this depends what happens to the Geico property. That's something that the sector plan will be certainly playing a role in, and certainly to some level, and maybe even to a great degree. We are thinking about that Geico property when we get to thinking about those big ideas in the plan. The sector plan will have an idea about that, and some of that will come from what we've heard, what people want. We're going to use what people want to see in Friendship Heights in the future as a jumping off point, right? For figuring out what the plan is going to try and and recommend throughout Friendship Heights. So we do want to hear from people about what you want, because hopefully the sector plan, will end up, usually it has a big influence on how future development takes shape. Amenities, including a swimming pool, public amenities that Friendship Heights has not had for a long time. Another comment in the chat right now. Making sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. All right, I think and if you can still put things, playground. Yeah, we've had playground. That's something that's up here. We've seen that a lot. And a library is something that we've heard from a lot of folks as well. You can feel free to continuing adding things in the chat. I think we're going to move now to this activity about parks so we can stay on schedule. So I'm going to turn it over to Christina, who's going to explain a bit about what the activity was from the parks perspective at the June 11th. And people will love to hear if people agree, disagree, and how you feel about what we heard on June 11th about parks and public spaces and visiting and accessing them. So we'll jump over to Christina.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining again tonight. We're going to be having two exercises. The first one is about access, and the second one, and I saw some people putting in the chats about park amenities. So first, you have this slide here. We list 9 parks that are shown in this green box. And then we ask at the side of each park, we had a little picture, and we asked 3 questions. Do you visit this space often? And then people vote with stickers, yes or no, yes for green, no for red. And then is it to find? And then if you find it, can you access this space easily? Next slide. So this is just like a map that was together on one of the boards. Pretty much these are the locations of the 9 parks, the Wheeler Avenue, between Wheeler Avenue and River Road, the William Tyler Page Park that is now closed, so we asked before the renovation, the Brookdale Neighborhood Park, that is the one behind the Geico site and, facing the Brookdale neighborhood. Then we had the Hubert Humphrey, that is the one in front of the community center. Then we have the Willoughby Park, that is across the Geico side and also across Chipotle. Then we have Friendship Heights Park, that a lot of people do not consider this as a park, but is the one that, it's by the side of Whole Foods, across the street from Geico, and diagonally across from the Willoughby Park. Then we have the collection is like by the Clyde's area, by the Joy of 7 Reasons restaurant, and then we have the amphitheater, across the street from Amazon Fresh and Sushiko. And then we have the Wisconsin place, that is the plazas that are around the Bloomingdale store and other retail, and by the Metro. And then we finish with the Western Grove Park, that is along Western Avenue by the side of the church, right across the Chase Recreation Center in the DC area. Third slide. So here is a combination of the results of our voting system. So the big winner is Hubert Humphrey Park. It was voted the most visit, like a lot of people visit very often. It was the easiest to find and the easiest to access. Then I'm going to be quickly describe like sort of the main elements and highlights of each park. So Wheeler Avenue Park, it was well visited, but some people also vote that they didn't visit very often. So it might have to do that is kind of somewhat hard to find, so we might need to work on visibility there, but it was considered accessible. Wisconsin Place Plazas is a little bit odd because even though it's at the corner of 2 important intersections, Wisconsin and Western, and there is a metro station there, and there are a lot of retail facing this park, it is actually less visit than the Hubert Humphrey Park. So some things we might be able to improve there. The Willoughby Park and the William Tyler Page Park, they both have yeses and nos in similar numbers. And even though they were easy to find and easy to access, so we can start working on, what are the potential improvements that can increase the visitation. Then we move to Friendship Heights Park. Similar to the other 2, it has a similar of yes and no in terms of visiting very often, but half of them said that, was easy to find. So the other half is kind of like, I don't know if it's easy to find. So we're going to have to work on that. And the collection in public spaces, it was voted with the most no's in terms of the least visit, is the harder to find, but once you find, it's easy to access, And then we have Brookdale Park that have sort of a similar number of people that visit very often and not often. It was hard to find because, it's behind Geico, and also was hard to access. So that's another park that we're gonna have to take a quick, deeper look. And then Western Grove Park, it was the least visit, and then, but, they found that is, once you find the park, is easy to access. So I'm going to stop here because I want to give a chance now for people to see if, and I noticed that the chat's popping up. So you already start doing the exercise, what is great. But what I was going to ask is, do you agree with these statements? Do you experience the same? Is it easy to find? Is it easy to access? So you can either put on the chat that you're already doing, what a proactive group, or you can actually raise your hand and then we're going to be collecting your comment. But if you wanted to speak, I'll ask if you don't mind to turn on the camera.
Christina, there was also a request for us to go back to the map of the parks for a little bit, and then we can come back to the screen.
Okay, cool. Maybe we can leave there that so people can kind of have an idea. And I'm looking at the chat here. Yeah.
A few things that I'm seeing in the chat, Christina.
Hello, can I? Sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand through this. Sorry, I'm not.
Okay.
My name's David Baratz. I live in the Brookdale community, and looking at that map, I'd say that there are a lot of those spaces that I don't really consider as a park. I think some of the bigger spaces are what I think of as a park, and they're big and shaded and have a lot of space. And in fact, the Brookdale community park is the one that I would say I go to all the time, and it's very close because it's a neighborhood park. But I guess my overall comment is it just feels like a lot of the spaces that are listed are pretty like small, and in my experience in using them is that a lot of them are kind of heavily paved and kind of bricked over. It's not as much of a kind of green area, and that's what I sort of look to when I think about going to a park. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for the comment. We're going to keep that in mind. And you're right, we have a lot of what we are calling public spaces in this mixture, because the friendships like the downtown areas, they usually have fewer parks. But that's why we were asking the question about accessibility, because do people do not go, they do not visit because there's lack of green, or it's because it's hard to access, So we are trying to collect these answers to figure out what is attracting people and what is not attracting people. And from your response, I guess, is lack of green spaces in more large areas. Is anybody else on the screen? I don't see anybody raising their hands. I think a lot of people are preferring to do. I hear some. Is there somebody speaking? I see on the chat that they mentioned Vinton Park. That is this park that is outside of the planning area, the plan area, but we won't be studying the amenities within it, but we will be studying accessibility similar to Western Grove as well. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of comments, not necessarily saying about the accessibility, but we're going to be collecting all these comments to help us in our visioning and preliminary recommendations.
Christina, I see one question about sort of how does the plan sort of address issues with parks? So maybe you can give just a sentence or two about in a sector plan generally, what, how we address a deficit of a certain type or any type of green spaces in an area, like at a general level, because that will help people understand where this feedback is going.
Yeah, so we look at the number of parks, we look at the number of amenities, and then we try to balance it out because we understand that there in the urban areas such as Friendship Heights, you have a much more dense population. So we do look at the number of facilities per capita, but because we understand there are a lot of apartment buildings and there are a lot of people together, we also try to look at flexible amenities that can be used not just for one demographic, but more demographic. So we are trying to see, can we provide play areas that can be used by, seniors, but might be able to be used by teens or might be able to be used by adults or kids. So we are trying to find spaces where the community comes together. So I think in the case of Friendship Heights, we are really looking into the community engagement, and we are looking at what are the other parks, not even just on the plan area, but in the sort of context of the plan area, what are they offering in terms of park amenities? Because if you are a resident or a worker in Friendship Heights, it doesn't matter who owns the parks, right? So you're gonna cross the street and use a DC park amenity if it's closer to you live closer to the edge. So that's how we analyze. We look at everything in the context, like a larger context, and then see what is missing. And then we look at our county facilities as well. We have a system of parks and open space. And then you said, these types of amenities will complement our overall system and also will complement the local system. I hope that answered the.
Yeah, thank you.
So our second exercise is you have these amenities, and I know some people already put some amenities on the chat. These are just examples. What we are asking you, and Molly's going to explain how, is among these amenities, pick your top 4. But if you really want an amenity that is not listed there, that you like to see in the park, you can also put in the chat, and then you just put, this is my top 2 or my top 3. But it's not to rank all the amenities 1 to 4. It's to pick your 4 amenities, your top 4 amenities, and then you're going to rank them. And this board that Molly's sharing, you have things that are like fitness equipment, pickleball court, dog park, picnic areas, shade gathering structures, some stage, community lawn, bench. So these are just types of amenities. They're not the way they look. It doesn't really matter, because that's not addressed during the sector plan. But we would like to know what the community really would like to see in our either redevelopment or future park spaces. Molly, you want to explain how this exercise is going to work?
Of course. Thanks, Christina. So you should now see, again, you should have seen the Slido pop up. Click the blue open button. If you don't see it pop up, go into the chat and click the link to Slido open. And you're going to see what amenities would you like to add it to Friendship Heights in the future. Rank your top 4 priorities. To pick any of the priorities, you click on it. The little gray circle should have a number then in it. You will see numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 for the 4 that you pick. If you would like to rearrange the order of them, you can simply drag them. You can also click it to unselect an item. Once you have all of your top 4 that you wanted to pick, make sure you click submit. Let me make sure I'm telling you the right thing. Send. You will need to click the word send to submit your answer. Same chat. If it didn't pop up on your screen, let's see.
If you click on the chat to look at a chat message, it goes away. I made the mistake of doing that. And then you have to wait and it should pop up again. So
Let's
if you
see.
want to answer the Slido, don't click in the chat yet. Answer the Slido first, hit submit, and then you can see what people are chatting.
So far, we have 9 votes in. I see a few people are adding there still. We're up to 10, 11, 13.
I think somebody's saying that the link's not opening.
If it doesn't open, you can just put your 4 amenities in the chat and we'll record it and combine it with the answers when we gather all the data at the end. You can just write 1, 2, 3, 4 in the chat from the list here or from anything else that you come up with.
Okay, since we are running a little short on time, we'll give just about 30 more seconds for votes to come in. All right. Again, if you weren't able to do it in the Slido, feel free to drop it into the chat. But from the votes that came in, it looks like shared gathering spaces was the top selection. I am going to drop this into our mural again so that people can see. Give me just 1 second here. I'm sorry for any of the technical difficulties that we had.
And I'm looking at the chat here that people are saying treat space, no more concrete or asphalt, no pickleball, no grilling. And then another person saying dog park, shaded gathering spaces, swing, stage. Then another one is community lawn, gardens, tennis courts, not on there, and shaded spaces. And then another one is saying that we need a big vision for the active Friendship Heights life. This is the key to making Friendship Heights vibrant. Much more time to discuss. And then the other one with dog park, benches, shaded gathering spaces. And another comment with Geico and Saks parking lot, there is an incredible opportunity to make Friendship Heights valuable.
Great, thanks, Christina. And if you can see now, the results that we did get through Slido are now up here. So shared gathering spaces, gardens, dog park, stage, and community lawn were the top 5. We also have benches, nature play, public art, picnic areas, food trucks. We got votes for all of them except for baseball, it looks like, in this voting. So thanks for everyone who was able to participate. I'm sorry for those of you who it wasn't working, but we will make sure to record your answers from the chat in our final numbers.
Yeah, I saw that one last one pop up from pickleball. Thank you, everybody. I think now we're gonna be moving to our break rooms. Molly, is that the next step?
We are. So we are about to move into breakout rooms. As Atara said, it's pretty simple. As soon as we open the rooms, you will get something pop up on your screen that will say move to room. And all you have to do is click accept and you'll get moved into your room. We're going to have a couple of different activities in your room. We're going to be using a virtual whiteboard called Mural. If you haven't used it, or if you don't want to use it, there's no problem with that. It's so our team will be sharing screen and you'll be able to see in live time notes from anybody who is talking or sharing their ideas in the chat. We'll be adding those right onto the board. So you'll get a little bit of a taste of the experience of people who were at the in-person workshop now in this virtual space. A few reminders as we go into breakout rooms. Remember that we want to share the floor. So if you've already had a chance to speak, make sure that others in the group also have a chance to come off of mute and to share their ideas as well. Remember, we want to be respectful, honest, but respectful in all that we discuss. And remember to share your ideas and ask questions. The whole idea is that we want to hear from you. We want to understand your thoughts, your ideas, your concerns, your interests. And so we want this to be a fruitful discussion time. And so we encourage you to come on camera, come up off of mute if you are able. Before we hop into breakout rooms, Vivi, can you give us just a quick demo of how Mural works in case anybody is interested in hopping into their Mural board?
Yes, so if you are interested in joining the mural board, you'll enter the board and it'll look like this. It'll have the presentation and you can use your mouse just to navigate it. And you can go to the breakout room activity, which is under the presentation here. And then you can zoom to that first activity. And then to add your notes and comments, you can go up to the sidebar and you'll have a sticky note option, which is the second button here. You can click that and then click whatever color you'd like. And then you can go ahead and write something such as lighting. And then you can move that wherever you'd like it. So this is just a fun way to like be more interactive with the Zoom and virtual sessions. You can do other shapes and you can also click on icons if you'd like to agree with someone. You can do a thumbs up. But as Molly said, if you'd rather just type in the chat, we'll have note takers there, which will record everything that you're saying.
Great.
So I'll stop sharing and we can break out.
Thanks, Vivi. We are about to go into breakout rooms. If you get kicked out of the Zoom, do not worry. Click on the same link that you clicked on at the beginning of this call. You will be brought back into the meeting and Larissa will be waiting for you to direct you back into your breakout room. At the end of our breakout discussion conversations, we will also all come back together just for a few minutes of closing time. So please don't leave. At the end of the breakout room, we will all come back together before we say goodnight. And with that, I am going to open the rooms and we will see you all in a little bit.